Hey, Lindsey isn't wearing a beanie. She either washed her hair or she got a haircut.
Can't stand you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the PHNX Suns podcast. Thank you all for being here with us, especially all of you early in the chat already. KJ, Marco, Ashley, V, Amelia, Leo, Buddha the Schizo. We appreciate you being here early, and don't forget to hit that like button. I'm Lindsey, that's Saul, that's Gerald, that's Espo, and gentlemen, our friend, our family member, Tim Legler, went on ESPN earlier this week and talked about why he was high on the Suns for this upcoming season. Of course, pointed out Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and their performance in the Olympics and how he thinks more people should be excited about this basketball team. So today, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why we should be excited and that the Suns will be better this upcoming season. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm ready for this.
Man, the energy's electric.
So Gerald did write an article about this over at gophnx.com. He's got more reasons over there, so be sure to check that article out as well after the show wraps up. But we'll talk a couple of them from your article. Gerald, you want to tip us off with some health?
Yeah, no, and this is something that I think gets lost in the conversation a lot, even though we've talked about it a few times. It's the central question that we asked going into last season, asking it again this season and hoping for a better answer. Can the big three be healthier this season? When you look at it, they only played 41 games together, and in those 862 minutes over 41 games, they posted a plus 6.6 net rating and a 26-15 record, which doesn't look like much when you look at it, but that is a 52 win pace over a full season. And it's worth mentioning that like the timing of those injuries really chopped things up. I wrote about this in the article, but Bradley Beal missed the first few weeks of the season with the back injury, came back, re-aggravated his back and was out for a month, came back for 3 games, landed on someone's foot and was out for a few weeks, came back, broke his nose, played through a broken nose. Like, this guy had so many different injuries. He had the hamstring right before the All-Star break that kept him out. But in that 6-week stint where he was healthy in the middle of the season, it's no coincidence that was the Suns' best stretch. They won games at like a 60-win pace over those 6 weeks. And it's something to keep in mind. It's not like he missed 29 games at the start and then got to play the rest of the season and build chemistry. It was so chopped up. And so the signs that we saw from this big three when they were healthy were promising. The question is, with as many games as these guys tend to miss on a year in, year out basis, can we expect a different result? I don't know, but I'll kick it to you, Saul. What do you think?
Man. I mean, no.
No.
No. Like, this is who they are. The only one that typically doesn't get injured as often is obviously Devin Booker. But, I mean, no. If you look at Bradley Beal's last, 4 seasons, he's missed tons of games. And Kevin Durant, until this year, same kind of thing. So, I don't know if you could really hang your hopes on that. I feel like, listen, 41 games, I know people are like, well, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. I tend to disagree because I'm like, well, if college kids can figure it out with the transfer portal and all that stuff and still win a championship, why can't these guys figure out that are pros and been playing together and been playing basketball since they were 2? So I tend to disagree with the 41 games not being enough. But
I think to your point, though, Gerald, not a lot of them were played in consecutively, so that does break it up. The college point is interesting, but it's also a more diluted pool of talent because you have so many colleges. And obviously the NBA is jam-packed with the best of the best and on 30 teams. But I think you're right, Saul, in the way that they are who they are. We know that injuries will play a part this year. And that's why you get a deeper bench, right? Because you know that that's going to be part of it. Where last year and KD's first handful of games in that playoff run, you didn't really have that, which means when they go out, it's a bigger drop off, and I think that's a big part of it too.
I think one of the things about this, though, because KD had one of his healthiest seasons last year. I know that they all kind of have their own ups and downs throughout the entire season, but when you put it all together, Gerald, like list every single issue that Brad had to go through, I would like to think that he's not going to have 17 new things to have to deal with this year. I would like to think. Okay, knock on wood, touch metal, whatever your thing is. But that was a lot. Like, I had completely forgotten that Brad broke his nose. How? I don't know. Probably just because there was so much going on. But I also think that now that even though it was only 41 games last year, they still have those 41 games. So even if you have to deal with some of them being in the lineup, some of them being out, whatever issues may arise, you're not as new to each other. You're not green when it comes to what the big three can be together.
For Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, I think they get a little bit more leeway than Kevin Durant, because I think if either one of them gets injured, it's going to be okay, because you do have a point guard to be able to help carry some of that load. Yeah. So I think it's okay. KD goes down. You don't really have that level of, a small forward, power forward that can just do everything like he does. The drop off is pretty steep, unless my point later on down low.
Okay.
Yeah. Bull.
No, and I think it's like we should mention, like over the last 5 years, Beal has missed an average of 26 games. KD 36 games, but that's including the season where he missed the entire 72 game season, coming back from the Achilles tear. So that one's a little bit unfair for KD. Devin Booker's missed an average of 13 games. So the least of those three, Devin Booker, that's still 13 games. That's not insignificant. But the hope is that
69 games is pretty nice.
I mean, that is nice. But the hope is that you even approach being nice with the amount of games that you get with the big three, because 41, like half a season, we talked about this going into last year. If they get to like 60 games, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable about what their playoff prospects are. If they get to 50, I'd feel a little dicey. They didn't even they were like within 10 of that.
What if we just say 82 combined?
That would be great.
Last year and this year.
Oh God.
You said that would be great.
I was.
You thought I was going somewhere, but you were wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Spoke too soon.
But to Saul's point, I think it depends on how the injuries happen, because if they all happen at the same time, obviously you're in a world of hurt. Even if two of the three are at the same time, you're in a world of hurt. So if it's one guy missing from time to time, I think you can weather that storm a little bit better than you did last year. But if you wind up in that break glass in case of emergency situation where it's multiple guys, that's when I don't think it's gonna matter. You're not gonna be able to dig yourself out of that on a regular basis. But if you have two of those three guys at any given time, you should be able to beat most teams in the NBA.
And that was a huge argument that we had last year during a lot of the down parts of the season when one of them was out and we were losing games.
Right.
That was the WTF moments of last season, if you will. But I will say, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to KD, because it was one of his healthiest seasons in a long time, coming back from a major injury. And a lot of players don't ever really return to quite the form that they were prior to that. He is there 100% in my opinion. And the load we put on him last year, on top of the fact that it was one of his healthier seasons, makes me feel pretty good about where KD is at physically, mentally, all those kinds of things ahead of this upcoming season. Because even if he does kind of find a balance as far as last year being the most healthy, and then the previous season, I think you said he averaged, 55 and a half games prior to last season, somewhere in like the 70s, 60s-ish or whatever.
Yeah. No, that would be great.
I still think that's a positive that we should take from last season.
For sure. I don't know that you can count on that this season, but
I'm gonna try.
You hope. Yeah, you hope that he can build on that and bank on that. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on with him, because if you don't get those games out of him, you're going to need a lot more from Beal or Book, or you're going to need a lot more scenarios where, unlike last year, when two of the three were available, two of the three should be enough to win on most nights, or at least on a lot more nights than we saw last year. So this isn't an excuse for them by any means either.
Yeah. All right. So another area last season that kind of gave us all a bad case of the blues.
Yeah.
Were the fourth quarters. But Gerald, the fourth quarters can't possibly be that bad again, right?
I refuse to believe that a team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal can be this bad in the fourth quarter.
Holy crap. Are we back in 2023?
A little bit, yeah. We are, unfortunately.
Did we ever leave?
I feel like I heard this before.
But last year was just insane. Like when you look at what numbers they put up, so they were a league worst net rating of minus 11.6, which was more than double the second worst fourth quarter net rating in the league at minus 5.5. That's absurd. They were dead last in fourth quarter scoring and point differential. If you look across the board, like field goal percentage 26, 3-point percentage 22nd, rebounding 29th, assists 25th, turnovers 27th, all just absolutely terrible. And actually that net rating that the Suns posted was the 7th worst that is in NBA.com's database. And that goes back 28 years.
Nice.
Like if you look at the list here, we got the Vancouver Grizzlies, which is no longer a franchise. We got the 2011-2012 Charlotte Bobcats that are tied with the Suns in that spot.
That's something. If you could be tied with these Charlotte Bobcats in anything, that's impressive.
It's not great. They got the Chicago Bulls
Bobcats.
after Michael Jordan left, and we know how bad that was. So yeah, we've had. I refuse to believe that this team can possibly be this bad in fourth quarters. And when I looked at the fourth quarters individually, they lost 47 fourth quarters out of 82 this year. 22 of those, though, came in garbage time where they held a lead going into the fourth quarter. They still won the game, but they lost the fourth because it was basically, hey, we're up by 15, we're up by 20. Of course, they're going to battle back in garbage time. So that is the encouraging part for me. There were still 10 instances where they held the lead, lost the fourth quarter miserably, and lost the game because of it. The encouraging thing was the last time that happened was in late January. So from late January on, they stopped doing that. They kind of got it out of their system. Didn't matter in the playoffs, but hopefully I can't believe that the fourth quarters are going to be so disorganized as they were last year again.
I mean, having a really good point guard on your team will help, I think, in a lot of areas with that one. Hopefully, again, I'm choosing to be optimistic.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to, I think you could point to either one of them, Tyus Jones or Monte Morris, to when things get a little bit crazy and chaotic, maybe they can be the one who provides a little bit calm.
Yeah.
A little bit of calm, a little bit of peace and clarity and resettles everything. At least that's what I'm going with. I'm going to hope for that. But I do appreciate, Gerald, how you mentioned, we did lose technically 47 fourth quarters, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. But then if you eliminate the garbage time ones, it doesn't feel as bad. It's only 25.
Just cleaning up some of those.
It's only 25. Like, positivity is the name of the game here. I know it was rough, but I think that hopefully things will get a little bit better this year in that area. And when you eliminate the garbage time things, which don't really count, kind of, quote unquote, it doesn't feel as bad as it felt while we were in the thick of it.
Lindsey has no more lipstick for the rest of the week. She's put it all on the pig that was the fourth quarters for the Suns last year.
Yeah, but again, to Gerald's point, like, are we really going to do that for 2 years in a row?
I sure
Under a whole new
don't
coaching
challenge
regime?
the basketball guys.
I don't think so.
I would definitely argue that we are the best team of that 7 too.
most talented,
the most talented team of those seven garbage
I don't know,
teams.
man.
I can't.
The 2022-23 Spurs.
Are we the only?
I don't know, man.
Are we the only ones that made the playoffs out of that group?
I didn't check, but I'm pretty sure we have to be because most of these teams were like bottom feeder teams.
Did Portland, or was that when Dame was injured?
That was when Dame was injured.
I highly doubt.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes so little sense about those fourth quarters.
I don't know if I should be
year.
impressed or not.
It's like a combination of like chaotic, like curiosity.
Like, how did you get to the playoffs?
Well, and
How'd
okay,
you do
that's
this?
the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had no identity. Mm-hmm. There was zero chemistry, it felt like, amongst the players and then players and coaching staff.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We talked all the time about, was the coaching staff even really on the same page? Who's the one calling the shots for which thing and here and that and this and the other?
It wasn't Slappy Slapstick. I know that.
I would assume that you're not going to have that this year.
Right.
One, you've got a year under your belt as far as chemistry goes with at least the the main five that you've brought back, right? The big three plus Nurk and Grayson. Plus you brought back a couple others. You have a whole new coaching staff who's one guy at the top. That's it. There is no this, well, you can handle the offense, I'll handle the defense, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of 1A, but you're kind of none of that. You know who's the coach, and it's period. That's it.
Yeah.
I would like to think that a lot of the just random, dumb reasons why things didn't work as well as they could have last year will be kind of cleaned up this year. Because you still did make the playoffs.
Right.
You still weren't a terrible team.
No.
It just felt bad.
You had 49 wins and you had 47 fourth quarters that you blew, right? You were worse than the other team. Lindsey, are you saying the fish rots from the head, that they were a reflection of what may have just been a chaotic coaching staff?
Maybe.
Is that what we're looking at?
Maybe.
I mean, I think it's part of it. I don't think it was all the answer, but that's the thing with this team last year. There were multiple causes of what was going on, and I think they've addressed a large portion of them.
Yeah.
And that's what's encouraging. It wasn't just one thing. They could have just fired Frank Vogel and gone, everything else is just that was it, and they didn't. They looked across the board.
Right.
But I think I disagree again. I'm not trying to disagree with you guys, but like I feel like Frank Vogel was such a detriment to this team in hindsight and looking at everything and how it played out. Like I always kept thinking of Monty's quote, like, don't get happy on the farm. And I really, every time I think of that quote, I think of Frank Vogel just being excited to be a head coach again in the league and him not understanding accountability matters. You can be a player's coach all you want, but if you don't hold these guys to the fire, it does not matter. They will also lose their way in your system or whatever it is that you're trying to throw out there on the court. And I felt like it was pretty evident halfway through the season that he did not have this team at all. And that's a huge impact. When you don't, I'm not going to say that they don't respect Frank Vogel, the man, but I don't think that they respected Frank Vogel, the coach. No. And I don't think they respected other coaches on that staff as well that were on that coaching staff. So I do think that's going to be a significant change this time around, because one of the things that we've heard about Coach Bud was that he can be kind of difficult. And I think right now for this team, difficult is okay.
Yeah, I think we saw it at various points throughout the year when you look at the turnover problem, how it was the same sloppiness over and over and over, correctable things. Same thing with the fourth quarters, correctable things. But we didn't see it in full until that playoff series came and adversity hit, and you were hearing the responses from Vogel and the players, and they felt very disjointed in how they were answering the same questions. So I think, to your point, that coaching change could matter. I think having traditional ball handlers to just make life simpler on the big three will help in these fourth quarter instances. And I think just having those point guards to run the show in those, like the beginning of the fourth quarters were always bad because that's when Book came to the bench. So you were losing the guy who was tied for your leading scorer and your leading facilitator, initiator. And basically it was up to Brad and KD to kind of navigate their roles and try and keep everything afloat. And I think this year you're going to have Tyus in there or Monty Morris in there to run those stints. So you're not going to need to rely on Book as heavily to start those fourth quarters. I think that alone will help these situations where, okay, we're up 20, now we're only up 8. We still hang on to win the game, but our fourth quarter net rating is putrid again.
One of the things that, I know a lot of people will fight back on the Vogel thing, right? Because we saw when he got fired, people were like, well, it's not completely his fault. Here's the difference. When you looked into those inside the huddle moments that we got glimpses of throughout the season, Frank Vogel would say things like, hey guys, just calm down. We just came back from 28 points the other night. We can do it again. Like, bro, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what's going on that you see that's wrong. I want to know what we need to do to adjust. I don't care about what happened last game. And that's, to me, the microcosm of Frank Vogel. He just never got it.
And I don't disagree. I think Frank Vogel was the largest of the problems. But like we talked about on the injury side, if you have no bench after an injury happens too, those things all played an impact to a lesser extent. So I think addressing the coaching thing was 1A and probably 1B in a lot of it. To your point, Lindsey, about the way that they looked, and then they took care of those other smaller factors as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they knocked it out of the park and this was a 100% off season, but it was pretty dang solid in my opinion, considering too all of the obstacles that were in their way as far as being able to get better based on the new CBA. But we've got more reasons why you should be optimistic maybe, or why we think the Suns will be better this upcoming season, and we'll get to those here in just a second. But with our friends at Bet365, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary. And right now, they are letting you choose between 2 offers when you open an account at Bet365. All you have to do is use the code PHNX365 to sign up, deposit $10, and then choose your adventure. You can either take the bet and get offer, where you place a bet of $5 or more and get $200 in bonus bets, or you can choose the first bet safety net offer, where you place a bet up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive a matched refund in bonus bets. But there are so many reasons why you want to get in on the action with our friends at Bet365. First and foremost, the early payout offer, phenomenal. Chef's kiss. Couldn't ask for more on that one. With the NBA, if your team goes up by 20 points, you get an instant payout on your straight bets or your parlay selections marked as winners. So download the Bet365 app, use that code PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Disclaimer, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
You know what? The future's bright. At least that's what we're trying to tell you
bright.
about the Phoenix Suns today. And when it's bright out, you know what you need? A good pair of sunglasses. And our friends at Shady Rays are here for you. 5-star rating by over 300,000 people. That means you can take these to the bank. They're that good. People love them, and it's because they are quality made and they're not expensive, right? Most of the time you got to buy sunglasses that are high priced to be good, not with our friends at Shady Rays. They got the styles that you want, and I love them. I have prescription sunglasses, and they take care of it. They are fantastic. It fits my needs whenever it is way too bright, and it usually is out here in Arizona. And I swear by Shady Rays when I'm out there riding my bike, playing basketball, whatever the case may be, or just walking outside. I love them. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the promo code PHNX. You're going to get 35% off your polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay. What you got for us, Saul?
All right. I'm not going to steal Espo's thunder because I know he's going to talk about Bradley Beal. And I will mention that Bradley Beal caught a lot of flack for, to me, no reason. It's because of his high salary and his injuries, but he had a career high in field goal percentage, and he had a career high in 3-point percentage and efficiency percentage.
He was super efficient.
Like he was good when he was out there. Whether you guys like it or not, it's just facts. But I digress. It's the killer bees. It's Bradley Beal and Bol. Their health, their minutes, the new system. I think they both are going to thrive under Coach Bud. And as I mentioned, they both had very good years efficiency-wise compared to their previous seasons. I think Bol, even from a 3-point shooting percentage, I think that was his highest outside of his first year in the NBA. So, like, he did a lot of good things. They just need consistency. For Bradley Beal, it's the health. For Bol, it's playing time. He needs more playing time. When you go from 7 minutes to 20, back down to 3, and then miss 11 straight games, like that's too wildly all over the place. And the thing with it is that the games that Bol missed, this is the confusing thing to me. He played more towards the end of the season than he did at the beginning of the season. But at the beginning of the season was when Bradley Beal and Devin Booker were all injured. And you would think that there was more opportunity at the beginning of the season than later, but he got more minutes later, which told me that either the coaching staff finally got some confidence in him and felt like they could play him a little bit more here and there, or I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I think Bol is really going to thrive this year. He's the one to me that has the biggest possibility of making a significant impact, because I think the other guys will be marginal, but the collective will be big. I think Bol by himself could make a huge impact, like maybe even 5 points a game more himself if he gets like 10 to 15 minutes a game.
Is he your direct backup for Kevin Durant? Like when KD is off the court, do you automatically go to him? Because I think part of it was he didn't have a consistent role last year. I mean, is that where you think you turn to him?
I think he could early on. I think you dabble with that to see if he can handle that or not, right? And if he can't, then you got to try to make adjustments. But I think offensively, he's so good, and can be so good in so many different ways that it's almost a shame to just leave him on the bench. And defensively, listen, I know he's not the greatest defender in the world, but he does have length, and he did have 0.6 blocks a game last season. And I think if he would have played a little bit more, he probably would have averaged 1 at least. I think he has that kind of ability. So I just think that he can grow into this system and really develop at a high level if he's just given the opportunity.
I think it's worth it to give him at least a couple months in the beginning of the season of consistent play in that second unit to see really what you got. And not just like cherry pick the games based on the matchup and if they think it'll be good or not. In some cases, sure, you can do that. But on a regular basis, I think you kind of got to let him play through that, see if he can work through it. And lean into the fact that Bol is a huge energy bunny when it comes to the crowd and the vibes too. You know what I mean? Like that helped turn things around for quite a few games.
He's earned that right to be in the rotation to start the season based on what we saw in the second half of the season when he got his chance. I do think in the first half of the season he didn't get his chance because A, when he got in there, the minutes were bad. And B, I think he had to earn it in everyone's eyes because what we heard coming out of practices was that in those scrimmages that the end of bench guys would do outside of practice, Bol was starting to show things, that he was gaining confidence, that he was really putting together good sessions, and that's what kind of earned him a second look from the coaching staff. Because going into the last year, none of us thought that he would be a rotation player on a playoff team.
No,
that was not the expectation. So going in, it made sense that he was not on the bench. But as he earned those opportunities, the second half of the season was where it got frustrating in terms of one night he's playing, one night he's not, based on matchups. I think this year, if you're Bud, he's showed enough in the second half of the season to be like, okay, we're going to give this guy a chance regardless of matchup. And if we have to tweak our approach because he just can't thrive in some matchups, then you tweak it. But you do give him that opportunity off the bat.
Exactly.
How much do we think he is who he is and what we saw last year is just kind of the guy? Or do we feel that there's a big ceiling still for him? Because that's my biggest problem with him is you see flashes, but still inconsistent. And last year, part of that was because of minutes, but we've seen it in other stops that he's had. So that's what I wonder is he just that guy that is semi-inconsistent, or can he truly grow? Does he have enough ceiling where he can be that guy you rely on a regular basis?
I think he can grow. I personally think he can grow. I think that the leap that he took this year was mostly because of the guys that were surrounding him, like Kevin Durant. I think that helped a lot. And even Fizdale. Somebody mentioned it in the comments. Like Fizdale did a great job with him as well. I think he needed that stable kind of foundation with a guy that he respects and a coach that loves him. And I think those two together worked. That's why Frank Vogel didn't. I don't know why I keep going back to Frank. Apparently he peed in my Wheaties today. I can say pee, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so like I just feel like that he got the short end of the stick too many times. And his development, I do believe in his development now. Seeing what I saw last year led me to believe like, okay, there is something there that's legit. And if he continues to work at it, I think he could be a bona fide contributor to this team.
So Chris in the chat brings up a good point. They said it's a confidence thing. He needs a solid mentor, and he would flourish if Katie took him under his wing. I think Katie has in a lot of ways this last season. We saw that, but I do think it's a confidence thing a lot with Bol too. And even though, like, we even heard like coming into last season, right? Everyone's like, everything's there. It's a mental thing. It's like mental, and then the commitment to it. So you take maybe some of the mental stuff aside because you do have those guys here in Phoenix who can help boost that confidence. And then you see that it's actually paying off. Maybe that boosts up the continue to put in the work side of things. I don't know. I think Bobo definitely has another step he can take.
Well, part of it too, and Saul alluded to this, was the talent he was playing with elsewhere, right?
True.
Like Orlando, I'm sorry, when he was there, they were still young, trying to figure it out. There was no real leaders with him or mentors with him. Denver, at the time he was there, was not who they became. They were still kind of a little bit of the same, trying to learn without direct leaders, kind of. So maybe this is part of, he's found more stability. I know that last year was a weird year, but he's found more stability in guys like KD and Book to be around, who he sees what the work ethic that it takes. And if he does have another step, if he can become consistent, you're 100% right, Saul. It changes the game completely for this team offensively, but if he's locked in defensively as well, it's another layer.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't turn 25 till November, so he still has a lot of upside there. And hopefully Fizdale, KD, this being in a stable environment for more than 1 year in a row will help them tap into that and help his confidence grow, and that mental aspect that you were talking about, Linz, all kind of come together. Because if Bud does give him an opportunity, I think he'll make the most of it. And if he's making the most of it from the start of the season and able to continue to build on that throughout the course of the season instead of being thrown into the fire midway through the season, I think that can make a difference too.
And another small, very small, but still can throw it in the pile here, added boost of confidence is that Bobo knows if he chooses, he will be on this team all season long because he has the ability to veto trades this year. So just another little sprinkle on the cake there. So Saul brought up the killer breeze. We talked about Bobo. Espo, you want to talk about Brad Beal?
Look, I called it last week. It's the Beal-assance. This is going to be a rejuvenated year for Bradley Beal for multiple reasons. But as Saul mentioned, his efficiency last year was the best field goal percentage of his career, the best 3-point percentage of his career. Like, this guy didn't play horribly. People want to treat it like he played horribly, but he didn't. He actually had a very efficient and effective year. The other thing, the offense is going to be better this year. It's going to actually be a system that is a system, right? That you can take advantage of what he has to offer. So I think that's a huge part of why he'll be more effective. But there's a few other things when you dig a layer deeper, right? I look at it, and he had the lowest usage rating of his since his rookie year there, which is interesting to see. But when you look at the worst assisted rate on his buckets since his rookie year, which meant the amount of times he scored where they weren't assisted by anybody else because the offense broke down and it turned into hero ball, was the worst since his rookie year. The worst assisted rate on 3-pointers in his career, which meant he had to do pull-up 3-pointers in a lot of these cases. You know what fixes that? Him not being the point guard anymore, right? And that's not a knock on Bradley Beal having to go out there and be point guard. He did what was asked of him, but now he's not going to have to do that. He can get back into his natural ability to score and being set up to score via these point guards that you've added to the roster, Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. That's what excites me so much with this is Bradley Beal, if he can still be as effective as he was in terms of of his shooting. I mean, second highest effective field goal percentage of his career. And he's set up now. He can take advantage of more of this. He can go back to more of the scorer he was. He can now, because he's not going to be on ball all the time, still take on those defensive assignments, but maybe have a little bit more in the tank to do it as well. I think Bradley Beal is going to be a very large reason why the outlook of this team is much better, and that they'll head into the playoffs in a better position than they were last year.
The Suns need to simplify his role, and it felt like it was constantly changing last year. And Brad didn't have some perfect season, but 18.54 on that efficiency as a third option is pretty good. I don't know how much his numbers are going to go up, but I do want it to be more effective in terms of on a week-to-week basis. It was, okay, go stand in the corner. Okay, now you're going to be the point guard for a couple weeks. Okay, now you're guarding Zion Williamson. There needs to be some stability to simplify things for him, because no one had to adjust out of the big three, or possibly anyone on the team, more than Bradley Beal last year. There was a stat from the B-Ball Index that in terms of isolation turnover percentage, Bradley Beal led the league in that, because he was being asked to do too much as a point guard, trying to score, like you said, creating when plays broke down. Just have him play off ball and let him attack. Tap into his ability to be a great cutter. Tap into his ability to catch the ball off a screen and get downhill, which he was really good at in Washington. This guy with the Wizards was constantly moving, constantly creating chaos. You need that with this Suns team, and hopefully with a traditional point guard now, you'll be able to tap into that more, and he'll be guarded less, because this time, instead of Kyle Kuzma and all these guys that he had in Washington, he'll have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker drawing attention away from him too.
When you bring up motion, what's Bud known for?
Right.
Offense that has a lot of motion. This guy's going to have an opportunity at easier buckets than last year too. Do I think he'll wind up being a 25-point-a-game scorer? No, I don't think. But you get 20, 21 up from his 18, that all starts to impact a game, and it makes some of the load easier on other guys, right? So, of course, a lot predicated on health, but I still think that Bradley Beal in this new system, with somebody actually passing him the ball and assisting on these buckets more, it will be much better than what people felt he was last year. And I don't care about a $50 million price tag. It's a sunken cost at this point.
Yeah.
You can complain about that all you want, but it's not going to change, and it doesn't matter. Right? His effectiveness and what he provides to this team and what he's able to be as that third option and how good he can be will drive this team. And it doesn't matter if he makes 50 million or 5. It's what he goes out there and does. I don't care anymore about that.
And listen, if it all doesn't work out, they've got a break glass in case of emergency plan, or at least a little bit more flexibility around that area than they had last year when it comes to making moves. Last year, the big trade deadline was packaging up every player who couldn't see the court to save their life and bringing in Royce O'Neal and David Roddy. David Roddy didn't stick around, also didn't see a lot of playing time either. Royce O'Neal was a good acquisition, though, for this team. But there are more guys this year. Granted, we still can't aggregate salaries, but you still have a few more options here. So we'll look at some of the players and when they can or cannot be moved. So Grayson Allen is available to be moved come mid-October, just before the season starts. Players who can be traded after December 15th include Bol Bol, Damian Lee, Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Royce O'Neal, Mason Plumlee. Just a reminder, like I had mentioned about Bol Bol not having that, or having that ability to veto trades this season, so does Damian Lee. Players who can be traded after January 15th are Josh Okogie, and his second year is non-guaranteed on his contract. And then you also have Yusuf Nurkic. Now, of course, I think we are all in agreement that Grayson Allen is probably one of the best assets as far as a trade goes for the Suns. I'm not advocating for him to get moved, but again, in a break glass in case of an emergency situation and you feel like you have to make a change, and Grayson Allen can be that guy. And they have an open roster spot, which we don't know if it'll stay open all season, but that is an area where there could be some flexibility. You send out a Grayson Allen, you can take 2 guys back in exchange, or Yusuf Nurkic. I don't think Nurk's trade value is super high right now. He's going to have to take it up another step in the first half of this season for anybody to want to probably take on that $18.1 million contract for him. But then you have guys like Josh Okogie, Royce O'Neal, J.O., $8.3 million this year. Like I said, non-guaranteed in the second year. Royce O'Neal, $9.9 million. In theory, if you can convince a team to play ball with you, they could be good trade pieces come the trade deadline. And then you have all your vet men guys as well. So a little bit more flexibility there. Sure, there are some others, obviously, but we're not going to talk about them because it's not worth talking about because they're not going anywhere.
I think the draft picks are such a big thing. You know, you still have the 2031 first,
right?
Which you didn't deal.
You have the 20. So in 2026, we have a first round pick, but it's got swap rights attached to it. But I think, Gerald, you can still swap your swap,
You
right?
can, but
a second swap on
with
top
the
of it if
amount
you
of
wanted
swaps
to.
that they've already promised, you're basically telling a team, hey, if team A, B, and C don't swap with us, or
Then
they
you
do,
can.
and that pick is still worse than yours somehow, you could totally swap with us.
It might
Like,
just
do you
make
want
it
to?
sound, quote unquote, a little bit better. But you have first round picks in 2026, 28, and 30, but they all have swaps attached to it. The picks that you just own, 2026, you have a second rounder that we got from Denver. 2031, you have the first rounder and the second rounder that already belong to the Suns. It's theirs. And then an additional second rounder from Denver as well. So you do have a few draft picks that you can try to sweeten the pot with, if you will.
Can we interest you in a swap of a swap and a couple seconds potentially?
Yeah.
Like I love when these GMs get creative like that, and they're like, "Hey, this pick's been swapped 4 times, but why don't we do a 5th just to be careful here?" So a GM can go, "Well, I did get a first rounder out of that."
Yeah.
It's a save face kind of move.
Half the league's going to have swap rights on the Suns in 2030 at this rate.
I mean, goodness.
Now Houston's going to acquire all of them,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
Poor things. But I do think that just, again, in the event that you do feel like you have to make a move at the deadline because something just isn't working, they've set themselves up to have a small but still decent amount of flexibility come that time of the year if a move is needed to be made, and those second rounders that you can add in, or first if you really want to get crazy with it, but more likely the second rounders to just sweeten that pot a little bit. So there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the Suns this upcoming season. I think we all should just come in with an open mind and give them a chance to wow us again.
I guess.
Why not?
I think if they even get like 10% of half these things that we're talking about, that's another 3, 4, maybe 5 wins. Like I really do. And just better health, having point guards to cut down on turnovers, help with fourth quarters, the new coaching change, Bradley Beal and Bol having maybe more established roles. All of this lends itself to, I think the Suns are going to be slightly better than people are giving them credit for right now.
I mean, it still comes down to, can you win the 16 in April, May, and June? But I think they're more set up for success in the regular season, which you then hope carries over because the vibes are better. You go into the playoffs not feeling like you just went through the gauntlet just to get the 6th seed kind of stuff. So
as long as this year's just not a chore.
Yeah, you just want it to be fun.
Like I think even the players felt like, man, this is a chore and a half right now. Like it does not feel fun. There's no energy. And as you mentioned before, like that was the great thing about Bol is like every time you got in the game, people did get excited right away. Like we need more of that enthusiasm for more than just Bol.
All right, we do have some super chats here. The first one we'll read is from Psycho Blue. Psycho Blue said, reason number 6, so far, I don't see anyone on the roster scheduled to wear the jersey number 14.
That cursed number for Drew and Landry. It's tough.
Fingers crossed we don't have any 14s on the squad this upcoming season. Steve Keim School sent us one and said that Garbage Bag Mafia had been dissolved. We are now the Steve Keim School of Drafting. Is top 5 production from KD and Book and top 20 from Brad doable?
Top 20 for Brad feels high.
Top 30 maybe.
Yeah, if you get top
35.
30 from Brad and top 10 from both KD and Book, you're in a great spot.
Top 5 for KD and Book. I think that's a little you're stretching for that one.
Yeah.
I think you might be able to get one of them if if Book winds up going another level after the Team USA run, but I think you're right. Top 5 is difficult, and I think I'd rather be part of the Mafia than the Steve Keim Draft School. And I will not be applying. I'm sorry.
And then BCom See Clearly, which, by the way, BCom, I'm pretty sure you sent us super chats yesterday, and I forgot about them. My bad. But we appreciate you nonetheless. But they said, me and Booker date, so get lost, Kendall.
Sure.
Just a reminder for everyone out there. BCom See Clearly and Book.
Good on you. Well, in BCom's mind, sure. So
It's a thing, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Coming up on the other side of a quick break, we have a huge announcement. So be sure to stay tuned and hit that thumbs up button while you're waiting for that. But also, I do want to tell you guys that our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos has an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement that you will not find anywhere else in the desert. They have set the bar extremely high with over 4,500 slots and live table games and some of the best sports books that you can find in the Valley. Not to mention, the food is on another level. The vibes are immaculate. And we're going to be hanging out there a lot this upcoming Suns season for some watch parties. Our PHNX Cardinals crew will also be out there for some watch parties. So stay tuned on the info for how to come hang out with us there. But you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. And always make sure you check out their events page too, because they've got a lot of cool things from comedy acts to concerts going on at their locations as well.
George Lopez this weekend.
Nice.
Oh, let's go.
Should be a great show out there. Look, finding flooring is never fun. Let's be honest. So you want to find flooring with a place that makes it easy for you. And Empire Today makes shop at home convenience a priority for them. But it's not just that. It's price match guarantee as well. When you shop with our friends at Empire Today, you're going to get flooring that you know is the best price. And also, it's going to be the right product with quick installation. I love their floor visualizer because, you know, you can see a picture, you can see a tile or a wood in your showroom at a store, but you have no idea what it actually looks like. The floor visualizer that they have takes care of it for you, and you can try it by visiting empiretoday.com/PHNX. I highly recommend it. I really love what they've done. I'm looking at getting all new flooring in the home because I've got a very old dog who has done some business on said carpet, and I need to get rid of it. And so I'm going to use our friends at Empire Today. What?
The carpet.
Oh, the carpet.
The carpet.
I was like, damn, dude.
I didn't say my kid.
No, the dog.
Oh, the
Yeah,
dog.
He thought you were going to get rid of the dog, not the
I
carpet.
thought you said bro. I was like, no.
Whoa, what? No.
No, well, you know, the dog won't be going where the new carpet will go. We'll keep him
Okay.
downstairs
There you go.
as well. But you know what? Right now, if you schedule a free in-home estimate, you're going to get $350 off from our friends at Empire Today when you use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details.
All right, here we go. We have an announcement to make. One of the two of you.
We are saying goodbye to Saul on the program today. He's not leaving the ALLCITY family. He is leaving PHNX for a new role with ALLCITY. Look, man, I can't express, and I know I'm paid to, but I can't express what you have meant to this place. Without you, there is no foundation that we would be able to build on moving forward. You and I have done some version of this program for, almost 5 years now?
Yeah.
Including really early Saturday mornings, and with our friend Dave King, and we've been through a lot, but I appreciate every thing you've done for me, for this program, for this place. I'm excited for what you're going to be able to do for ALLCITY, but it will be an immense loss here as well. I'm glad you'll still be in town, but look, man, I'm excited for you though.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look, I'll add to that because I think when we all started this 3 years ago, we didn't know what it was going to look like. And now here we are saying goodbye to someone who helped us build it from the very top. And we can look back and say that we have built something truly special and unique in this space. And the fun part for me was figuring out all of our different roles on this show, what our personalities were going to be like on the show. And I had, known Saul a little bit through my son's coverage and seeing him around at Suns events in the past, but didn't know the person and the man that he was. And so it's been a blessing to get to know you as a co-host, but most importantly as a friend as well, and someone that I know will keep in touch with, and vice versa, as you go on to bigger and better things as well. So thank you for everything that you helped me with, that you helped get out of me as a writer, as a podcast host, as a human being. because I wouldn't be where I am without you and Espo and everything that you guys have done for me. And I couldn't be more grateful for that and couldn't be more excited about what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
And to be clear, Lindsey, you didn't do anything for Gerald. So
That's okay. Gerald, he's whatever. But honestly, we're going to miss you, Saul, a lot. It's been an amazing 3 years. It's been a blast. Even during the down times, I feel like we have all found ways to laugh together through the pain that this basketball team gives us. And we're going to miss you on this show. We're going to miss you in the office. But like Espo said, you're staying in town. So we expect to see you at some events because they will not be the same without you. But I appreciate everything you've done for me, for us, for all of us. And don't be a stranger. Come visit us, okay?
I'll
Whatever
try
you
not to
do,
be.
don't be a stranger.
I got some things I want to say, but I had to write it out because I was just going to bumble through this whole thing. So you're going to have to just bear with me. All right. So where do I even begin? First, I need to say thank you to my wife, because without her, none of this would be possible. She's my soulmate, my best friend. And without her suggesting that I go into journalism in the first place, I wouldn't even be here, because I was trying to be a school teacher. And she was like, what the? No, you're not going to be a school teacher. So, and then obviously to my kids, Alex, Kellen, Sean, Ava, they've all championed me along the way. They even gassed me up by saying that their friends think I'm cool, which is not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. This all started back when Espo was ghosting me for almost a year before committing to sitting down with me at a King's Fish House out in Tempe Marketplace, and in a variety of different ways, we helped each other and ultimately found ourselves in a position to literally work the dream job. The experiences and relationships I've made here are unmatched. Even compared to my time in the military, I always swore that if I was ever put in a position to lead, that I would exhaust every effort to be what people needed and more. What I didn't realize was the impact everyone at PHNX and ALLCITY would have on me. During the 3 years, I've done my best to be there for people, as I believe the best leaders serve their people, not the other way around. We've had funerals, weddings, birthdays, graduations, childbirths happen all during my time here, and each experience was valuable in showing love to the people who just want support and appreciation. The most important result of all this is the community we've helped and continue to build. The diehards are just an amazing bunch of people who love their team so much. More importantly, they are some of the best people you'll ever come across. From nurses to lawyers, teenagers to elderly people, West Coast to as far as Europe, our diehards wanted a place to go where they felt a sense of camaraderie, and Lord knows we need it more often in Arizona than anywhere else because of our teams. There are a few people that I want to personally thank, and I'm just going to riddle right through this list. CWP, Chris, Karen, MCG Blue, Don's Bread, Jake, Psycho Blue, Cogs, My Name is Fat Mike, Colin DeWitt, Tim from Phoenix, Rick, So Says Jay, the Aussies, Suns Worldwide, Suns Geek, Darth Voida, Flex, Carlos, Amelia, Submerged Suns fan, and I know I'm probably missing a lot more, but just know I truly appreciate everything you've given on every level to support our cause and community. Additionally, relationships like Kyle from OGs, my people all out on the east side, Valley Taproom, Donald, Bridget, Canute, Nikki, Robert, Pete, Sarah, Sean, Erica, Big James, Tiffany, all those people came out to support when we were just starting. And we had 2 people show up to an event. These people, they just wanted to show some love. And I had just gotten to know them, and they just came out to a lot of our events, and I really appreciate that. Also, Ken, shout out to you, who was a diehard and has been desperately begging me to get a hockey show to come out to Valley Tap Room for like the last year. Hopefully we can make that happen for you someday. Justin and Aaron from Gila, Trevor at Four Peaks, the list goes on and on, the amazing people. But and finally to all you, you guys. Oh, and to my fam, Lindsey, Gerald, and Espo. It has been a dream to work with you. We're the core four and have been until today. Lindsey, the life you bring off camera, coupled with the organization you bring on it, makes you one of the most interesting people I've ever met. But to your core, you have such a big heart and will literally murder anyone who tries to get in someone's way that you love. And I love that about you. Gerald, you're one of the smartest dudes I've ever met. And as genuine a guy and as big a heart as you'll ever find out there. It's been a blessing to go from guy who sits next to me at Suns games to colleague to friend and now brothers. I wish you and Amy all the happiness, and I'm for sure going to be crazy unk who feeds nothing but caffeine and candy to your kids when you finally have them. And to Espo, not sure I can find the right words. Not sure I can find the right words to put what you've meant to me. There have been times where I've hated you, I've loved you, I've rolled my eyes at you, and I've laughed with you all in a 5-minute span. And after each instance, I just walk away thinking how much I value being challenged in a way that is supportive to the cause and not personal destruction. That's a gift. And so as I hand the keys over to PHNX to you, because Espo will now be the GM of PHNX, finally, we live in a very cynical and temperamental world. It can be defeating, and it can suck the life out of you. But there are good people in this world, people who care about you, your team, and how they impact the world around them. This will always be a space to have fun and have great dialogue and a sense of community. I appreciate each and every one of you for always showing up in the chat every single day and showing love in a variety of other ways on social. It's not lost on us how much effort it takes to do that as consistently as some of you do. I'll still be on outside shots, but my time on Suns is officially over as I prepare for my next role. Once again, thank you, and it's not bye, it's just see you later.
It's an incredibly bittersweet moment because we're so excited for what's to come for you and the future of ALLCITY, but we're really sad that you won't be here with us on PHNX Suns anymore. But like Saul said, he's still going to be around. He'll still be on outside shots at some of the events. So hound him if you're coming to one. Hound him and make him come to them as well.
And for those of you worried that he said, I'm going to be GM, he's still my boss. So there are guardrails.
That was in my damn contract.
All right, can I still call and can we argue about Suns so we can get those 5 minutes you talked about?
I'm not on Suns anymore. So.
But we've had some really incredible moments in these last 3 years. Things that we will remember forever. Honestly, it was so simple to go back and find all of these photos of just random fun times that are going to be timestamps in our memories for a long, long time. I mean, we went out and did a photo shoot and like outside in downtown Phoenix, just on a random like Tuesday afternoon. It was an absolute blast. Gerald, your wedding, right? Yeah. I'm sad I missed it, but I know everyone was there. Vegas. How many times in Vegas did we have something ridiculous happen? And we've only been there 3 times, twice for me.
We're going back to that barbecue spot, so you're gonna have to come.
There we go.
Just out of solidarity.
Oh my
I suppose dressed up like what's his face, Zach Galifianakis. What's his name?
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis.
There you go. I win. It's just been so much fun these last 3 years, and just because you're not going to be on the Sun Show doesn't mean we won't continue to make memories and have moments where we get to be excited and celebrate not only the wins of each other, but wins collectively as ALLCITY and PHNX, since you are still a part of our family here and in normal life too. But so many great ones. And of course,
our Four Peaks argument. Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, the sexy sax. Always have that one.
I hope we have the best clip of them all, right?
We might. Which one?
We probably
I don't
Come
know.
on.
I don't know. We'll
Can
see.
I do it? I feel like I gotta
think you should do it at the end.
Yeah.
How
I'm gonna
about
do it
that?
at the end.
Well, let's
yeah, of
see.
course.
Let's see if we have the clip.
Yeah.
Can we just say, how bad was that first studio now that you need it?
Oh my gosh. Really? Oh my gosh.
Oh, we did our best.
Oh man, we really
did our
did.
best.
And we didn't know it at the time.
We didn't.
We just
No.
we're just living our life.
We did our best with what we had.
We had 3 weeks.
Yeah, we just keep growing. But here's a little trip down memory lane. Some of our favorite moments.
Let's get a song for us all to sing before we end this show.
Well, let's sing a song.
A
What are we
song for Saul to
singing?
sing.
Oh shit, yeah, let's go. Please don't go, girl.
Frank, everybody!
That's the best intro I've ever had. So Kevin Durant, oh, there's a rat right here. That's terrible.
Shut the up.
That's.
Move your phone so we can
get the
see
camera.
it.
Put it on the video.
Oh my god,
I
yes.
think it.
Is there a rat?
I think it just crawled in my bag.
Shut the up.
No.
Let's go.
I want it that way. Tell me why.
Roll the tape, Shane. Boomba Clyde. It's Kevin Durant. Let's go. Hey. Kevin Durant, if you come to the Phoenix Suns, my friend, you and I will have a fantastic time getting blazed here in the Valley because I know you are very fond of the herb.
Oh.
Seriously, we got to see this.
I'm not touching this.
Come on.
Oh my god.
Is it in there?
Oh my god.
I don't know where it went.
Oh my god. This is awesome.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why. Ain't.
Who's drunk here?
Saul. Lindsey.
Never gonna dance again.
Oh.
Feet have got no
Okay,
rhythm.
Y'all might have here. Lindsey and Espo just played with no rules whatsoever. And then Gerald didn't even understand the rules, so he
Gerald
slapped me before we even started.
My slap of Saul didn't make the cut. I'm bummed.
This is why you trade for Kevin Durant, because he's one of the greatest of all time. You never doubt it. You never doubt it. Even if it doesn't work out, you don't doubt why you would trade for one of those greats.
You know how many points Cam and McHale have in the last 24 hours?
I don't have an answer for that.
That's right, Sherry. You don't have an answer for that, but I do. That's why you call it Espo. For
I
you.
never wanna hear you say, I want it that way.
Thank you, Saul. We love you.
Love you
We're going to
guys.
miss you.
Love you guys.
Love you, Saul.
By the way, before we go, just a nice salute to everybody because we can't end the show without me saying I love you guys, appreciate you, and the 11s.
Yeah, let's go.
Should we hug?
Group hug.
End the show! Let's get a song for us all to sing before we end this show.
Well, let's sing a song.
A
What are we
song for
singing?
Saul to sing.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Please don't go, girl.
We feeling good now, fam.
I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't.
Who is drunk here?
All three of you.
We're doing it for
I
you.
never wanna hear you say I want it that way.
It's a party in the USA.
I'm so glad they had that cover in unison.
He's like, I like the way you look at me.
Nope.
I like the time we spend, baby.
It's raining men.
I'm never gonna dance again.
Oh.
Feet have got no
Okay,
rhythm. It's private eyes. They're watching you.
Oh my God.
They see your every move.
Yeah.
I went to the danger zone.
Okay, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I really am.
This is how
You remind me.
Why y'all
of
quiet?
what I really am.
Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Come on.
You can't.
That's not a guilty pleasure.
Win. Win, 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 win. Curve everything else. Win, 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 win.
We all silly like the mayor.